Hello there, welcome to GTV Breakfast News. I am Altiti Saida Sadiq. There's a lot to expect on the show today, but we'll start off with the news. Do endeavor to watch us if you're already on the move. On our social media handles, our verified GTV Ghana handle, and on DSTV, wherever you are in the world, you can get us on channel 278. We'll take you to Parliament to do education, health, we'll do some conflict issues, and we'll do the international news. Let's start off from Parliament, where the House has unanimously approved Justice Gertrude Torkornoo as new Chief Justice. Presenting the report of the Appointments Committee on her vetting, the chairperson, Mr. Joseph Osei-Owusu, said the committee had come to a consensus for her approval. He also said Justice Torkornoo is competent and has shown character to fill the position. Members of the House then urged the new CJ to discharge her duties without fear or favor. Justice Gertrude Torkornoo is the third woman to serve in the high office of Chief Justice of the Republic after Justice Georgina Theodora Wood and Justice Sophia Kufu.
The committee, after considering the nominee in public, came to the conclusion that she showed character, competence, and dexterity in the knowledge of the law. She pledged to interpret the law without fear or favor, if approved as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana.
Mr. Speaker, legacy of her as Chief Justice, I believe she will. I'm very confident that she would improve upon the e-justice system and ensure the speedy adjudication of cases. But Mr. Speaker, again, the Supreme Court is not above our criticisms in this House. How come that in some cases they act with alacrity and speed, and in some cases they are not? You have to come to it. E-levy, our matter is still pending in court. We want to know, was Parliament properly constituted? They cannot be selecting and choosing which matters they must act with speed. No, that does not assure us of confidence in the judicial system, and in a judicial system that must be independent and act expeditiously on matters affecting all of us. Let's all support her and wish her well, but she should discharge her duties without fear or favor, nor political influence, and uphold her judicial oath.
In this House, it looks like when a decision is given by a court and it favors one side, we praise the decision. When a decision is given and condemns, it is not in favor of one half, we condemn. We must not be conclusive to say that the judiciary is biased. And we must not be using expensive words towards the judiciary.
From time to time, when I disagree with them, I call them individually and I have discussion with them. And they try to explain the viewpoint that they've taken. Whether I agree or disagree, that is a different matter altogether. But please, publicly coming out, running at them, should be discouraged. With this, I put the question. Those in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it, and the House has accordingly.
And a valedictory ceremony has taken place in Accra for the acting Chief Justice, Justice Jones Victor Doche, as he bids farewell to the bench. He retires after serving 15 years on the Supreme Court. Justice Doche said he would continue to be active and contribute to the promotion of justice in the country.
A very memorable day.
It was an emotional moment when members of the legal fraternity converged on the Supreme Court to honor the man described as a judge with a big heart. The acting Chief Justice, Justice Victor Jones Doche, who turned 70 on June 8, 2023, attended Accra Academy for his secondary education. He studied law at the University of Ghana, Legon, graduating in June 1976 and was called to the bar in November 1978. Justice Doche worked as a state attorney with the Attorney General's Department from 1979 to 1981. He served as the president of the Volta Region Bar of the Ghana Association. He became a High Court judge in September 2003. Justice Doche was sworn in as a justice of the Supreme Court of the Gambia in February 2008, and in June of that same year became a justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana. His legal career spans over 4 decades. Speaker after speaker congratulated him for his dedicated service to the country.
The extreme sense of humanity, kindness and compassion in the adjudication of cases qualified him, in my respectful view, for the accolade, a judge's judge, a lawyer's judge, and a litigant's judge, all rolled into one.
The Chief Justice Designate, Mrs. Gertrude Tokonu, described Justice Doche as a man who applied principle of justice and fairness in his work.
You have pursued the cause of justice and expanded freedom. You have made this nation safer and more secure. You have helped to build this democracy we are enjoying now. You absolutely deserve this rest, even though I know you'll be too restless to enjoy it fully.
The retiring acting Chief Justice attributed a successful career to his passion for doing what is just, fair, and right by humanity.
I intend to work with an organization which is called, it's a non-governmental organization, Judicial Watch. I intend to set up a Victoria Doche Memorial Trust Fund to support the girl child education in my mother's home country.
Justice Doche officially retires on Thursday, June 8, 2023. He served on various committees and boards. He was also part of the panel that handled the 2012 and 2020 presidential election petitions.
And on health, 4 districts in the Upper East region have confirmed anthrax outbreak. These include Binduri, Boko West, Talinsi and Bolgatanga. One more person has died after consuming the meat of an anthrax-infected cow.
A team from the Department of Agriculture, Veterinary Services, NADMO, Ghana Health Service and the Environmental Health and Sanitation Departments visited the community and buried the dead animals. The Upper East Regional Director of the Veterinary Service, Dr. Henry Ni Anang, who confirmed the report, advised residents not to consume dead animals but report such cases to the veterinary office. Meanwhile, a ban has been placed on the sales and consumption of cattle, sheep, goats and dogs for a 1-month period, effective June 6, 2023. Veterinary officers have also been directed to commence anthrax vaccination of such animals for free as soon as possible.
And on security, a group calling itself the Jatike Center for Human Security and Peace Building, as well as other civil society groups, say they are ready to support government, engage in constructive dialogue and collaborate on initiatives to prevent further violence between Fulani herdsmen in the Upper East region, communities in the Upper East region. Now, the groups addressed the media at a news conference in Accra on the root causes of the clashes. Their aim is to foster a culture of peace and unity.
Farmer conflict has existed for long across sub-Saharan Africa. The conflict occurs when a herd of cattle go grazing on farms or trampling on crops in farmlands. Herders and farmers eventually go on a collision course. Efforts to control the movement of cattle herds have not been successful, so the conflicts have persisted. Such clashes have occurred recently among pastoralists and farming communities in northern Ghana. The Fulanis in Ghana say they are unhappy about how they are stereotyped in a country as being lawless and uncivil. According to them, about 120 able-bodied men, mostly Fulanis, have been lynched in the past 6 years on accusations of theft, desecration of lands and murder, which cannot be substantiated. The executive director of Jatike Center for Human Security and Peace Building, Mr. Adib Sani, called on the media to be security sensitive in their reportage.
We call for a comprehensive and inclusive approach that upholds human rights principles, ensures the protection of all citizens, and of course their guests, and promotes peaceful coexistence among different ethnic and religious groups in Ghana.
Mr. Iman Hanafi is the president of the Ghana Association of Cattle Farmers.
It is very, very important that there are bylaws, there are policies established by the government of the country to be able to deal with these issues once and for all.
The National Coordinator for Women in Small-Scale Livestock Breeders, Hajia Adiza Umar, said women and children are seriously affected anytime there are clashes.
As women whose cases become so pathetic after the death of their husband, we wish to plead with the government, civil society organizations and international organizations to come to the aid of the vulnerable women and children in the local communities.
And the General Secretary of a civil society group, Tabita Pulaku International, Mr. Yakubu Musa Barry, says the Fulanis in Ghana are denied their citizenship. He says we must create a society where no group feels marginalized or unprotected. Mr. Yakubu Musa Barry urged government and other stakeholders, including the diplomatic community, to promote reconciliation, social cohesion and justice. He also called for the proactive measures to save the country from violent extremism.
The discrimination being meted to us with our children, whereby our forefathers built this nation. There's no doubt about that. President of Council of Fulani Chiefs was born in the barracks. Me speaking, my father served in the West African Frontier Forces. Also, he was part of the Gold Coast Regiment. But today, I myself being denied citizenship. Our children, grandchildren are being denied citizenship, even at the office. Today, if you go for enlistment or even a work in enlistment and you pronounce that you are a Fulani, make sure you don't go there. Except you mention your name, you are Kwame or Kofi. If you go to the passport office of any establishment like the NIA, your interview will be far different. And this is very serious that we have to call the attention of the government. The discrimination, where it is going, is very dangerous. So let's look solutions and find dialogue to communicate with this.
And an increase in the number of agriculture extension officers, commonly known as AEs, are all that is needed to transform the agriculture sector of the Western North region. The regional director of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, MOFA, Madam Patricia Widi. Madam Patricia says, considering the number of operational areas of the ministry in the region, more AEs will increase agriculture yields. Peggy Amadonko reports.
The Western North region is one of the country's food baskets. It is noted for the production of food crops such as plantain, cassava, and cocoyam, as well as cash crops, especially cocoa. The region produces 1/3 of the country's cocoa. Cocoa tops its cash crops. Unfortunately, the outbreak of the swollen pod disease has led to a drastic drop in the production of cocoa from that part of the country. As a new region, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, MOFA, has introduced farmers to the Planting for Export and Rural Development Program by giving farmers coconut and oil palm seedlings to replace cocoa production. Currently, MOFA has 145 operational areas across the 9 districts, with 55 agriculture extension officers, AEs, affecting their productivity. The AEs go beyond just visiting farms to home visits to interact with farmers as a way of building their capacities for positive productivity.
Now, before you plant, you have to think of the consumer. What the consumer wants is what you have to deliver. We don't have enough motorbikes even for the few. We have some, but not as sufficient as it is for the few agriculture extension officers that we have. If we don't have the requisite number of agriculture extension officers, it's difficult to meet our target group. I plead that the government can support us with more human capital.
Currently, the regional MOFA office is operated from the municipal office for lack of office accommodation, and this is also an issue MOFA wants solved as soon as practicable. Peggy Amadonko, GBC News, Sefi Rioso.
Away from Sehurioso, back to health. A validation of workplace HIV and wellness policy has taken place in Accra. The policy is structured to protect all staff in any given workspace from all forms of stigma and discrimination. It also extends to people with real or perceived HIV infection. Resource persons at the program say if the policy is well implemented, it will help end AIDS by 2030 and promote overall well-being in the country. A report by Yara Lowe.
Although the world's HIV/AIDS prevalence seems to be decreasing, it remains a problem that needs to be addressed. Prioritizing employee wellness encourages productivity, protects the rights, which urges them to join the global fight of ending HIV/AIDS and stigma. That is why it has become necessary to revise the National Workplace HIV and Wellness Policy that is 1 decade old. Tuesday's meeting in Accra enabled stakeholders incorporate the latest in-country HIV data and contextual factors into the policy to ensure that the policy remains relevant, adaptable and responsible to the changing needs and challenges faced by our workforce.
By integrating wellness initiatives such as promoting healthy lifestyles, mental health, support and other preventive measures, we aim to holistically address the diverse needs of our workforce. Together, let us create a workplace culture that nurtures health, respect, and solidarity.
The technical officer of the International Labour Organization, Dr. Ikuyaforia Sumidu, said if the workplace HIV and wellness policy is revised holistically, it will provide access to treatment, care, and support for persons infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. The Deputy Secretary of the Trades Union Congress, Brother Joshua Ansah, encouraged the workforce to be agents of change to ending HIV/AIDS by creating awareness on HIV/AIDS and other related diseases, including tuberculosis. At the end of the meeting, the policy content will align with current evidence, best practices and specific needs of Ghana's workforce. For GBC News, Yaira Lawe reporting.
And on education, Africa Education Watch, Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, GNEC, and Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, on education-focused civil society organizations, CSOs, have called on government to discontinue its initiative of replacing textbooks with laptops in senior high schools. The groups propose that government should rather ensure that the schools have full complement of textbooks and invest in ICT libraries and reliable internet services for the schools to pursue digital learning. The groups were addressing the media in Accra.
On 17th January 2023, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, announced at the opening of the 2023 Annual New Year School and Conference at the University of Ghana that the government intended to distribute free tablets to all SHS students to facilitate access to e-textbooks, past questions and other relevant learning content. On 27th May 2023, the Vice President again announced at the 60th anniversary celebration of the Hohoi Evangelical Presbyterian SHS that the government, through the Ministry of Education, was preparing to replace textbooks with laptops in SHS across the country. However, civil society groups believe that laptops are useful learning resources that expose learners to the ICT culture and enable access to other relevant digital learning content. And though they play a complementary role with textbooks and form part of international best practices in education, they cannot replace printed textbooks. They say they are worried about government's interest in spending over $1 billion cedis on complementary laptops for SHS students when about 2 million basic school pupils lack desks with some 5,000 schools still operating under trees, sheds and dilapidated structures. The national coordinator of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, Mrs. Bernice Mperijechi, said governments should rather focus on the several challenges already confronting the education sector.
The purchase of the laptop for the Free Senior High School. Let's go and take our education medium-term plan and long-term plan and see whether it was captured even within the 5 years that they were going to procure laptops for Free Senior High School. Why then do we chip it in now when there are other priorities? Our basic school is in dire need of resources, including textbooks, including desks, including infrastructure, even chalk, blackboard for the teachers to write on. So what are we doing with our basic schools? We are pleading with the government, we are pleading with the ministry that they should please look at the basic schools and provide the adequate resources needed.
The Executive Director for Africa Education Watch, Mr. Kofi Asare, has called on Parliament to reject any portion of this arrangement that may appear before the House, especially any request for tax exemption.
After we've been able to raise the 3.6 billion we required to eliminate the 5,000 schools under trees, after we've been able to pay the capitation grant arrears, find 3 cedis a day for the school feeding caterers so that they can resume cooking for basic school children, after we've been able to provide 1 million decks for the 2 million basic school children who are having issues with decks, and after we provided textbooks for all public basic schools, including primary, KG, and junior high schools in the new curriculum, we can have a conversation about buying laptops, and we will be the first to support it. But for now, it's a no.
The civil society groups are urging the Ministry of Education to consult stakeholders, including CSOs, before coming up with such initiatives.
And away from education to business and trade, GOIL has announced a dividend of 0.056 cedis to its shareholders, representing an increase of 19% compared to the 2021 figure of 0.047. This was largely driven by GOIL's impressive performance during the 2022 fiscal year, despite headwinds in the economy.
In response to its drive to be present everywhere, GOIL increased its number of stations by 4% in the year under review. The company's fuel sales also grew by 21.4% during the year 2022 compared to the previous year. Its market share grew from 15.32% in 2021 to 20.11% in 2022. GOIL says the bunkering sector is a crucial part of the shipping industry. Hence, the company continued to dominate the bunkering market in Ghana, increasing its market share from 60% in 2021 to 73% in 2022. Despite the harsh economic conditions in the domestic and external markets, the company made a profit after tax of 123.89 million cedis in 2022, up by 26% compared to the 2021 figure of 98.740 million cedis. Its earnings per share rose from 0.252 in 2021 to 0.316 in 2022. At the company's 54th annual general meeting in Accra, the board chair, Mr. Reginald Daniel Lai, said the 19% increase in dividend payment is a testament to GOIL's commitment to sustained growth.
It's our commitment to shareholders. If we're going to look at the challenges and our performance purely for 2022, we would not have declared dividends at all. But it's because of the commitment we have to our shareholders. We just thought it was the best thing to do at the point in time.
On the issue of shortage of fuel at some GOIL fuel stations, the managing director, Mr. Kwame Osei-Prempeh, explained that the company now has more than enough ROI 95 to meet the demand on the market.
The shortages were not caused by expectation of price increase. Indeed, we have enough stocks. We had challenges at the loading point, and that brought us this problem. Usually, our supply to the market is 2.4 million liters per day. But we came to a situation where we had to supply just 1.5 million liters per day because of the loading challenges. Yesterday, I decided that we are pumping or we are selling 2.5 million liters a day to the market until the situation normalizes.
As part of the company's CSR in 2022, GOIL signed contracts for the construction of 13 boreholes for about 8 communities in the central, Volta, Eastern, Ashanti and Bono regions, which are all near completion. On the outlook, the construction of the cylinder refilling plant at both Tema and Kumasi under the creation of the cylinder recirculation module aimed at reducing accidents that occur in handling LPG will be in operation soon.
And on the international front, Sierra Leone and Algeria have been elected non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council representing Africa. Sierra Leonean President Julius Maada Bio has termed the election a generational accomplishment.
President Maada Bio said this represents their unique success as a democratic and peaceful country of resilience that had successfully transitioned from war to peace. Guyana, Republic of Korea and Slovenia were also elected following a vote by the General Assembly on Tuesday. The 5 will join Ecuador, Japan, Malta, Mozambique and Switzerland as non-permanent members of the Council. The new members will take up their seats on January 1 and will serve until December 31, 2025. The Security Council is composed of 15 countries, of which China, France, Russia, the UK and the US are permanent members with the right to veto any resolution.
And Pope Francis will have surgery on his abdomen at Rome's Gemelli Hospital. The Vatican said he's expected to stay in hospital for several days to recover from the hernia operation.
The 60-year-old has faced a series of health issues in recent years and uses a cane and a wheelchair due to a persistent knee ailment. Vatican spokesman Matteo Bruni said the Pope will undergo a laparotomy and abdominal wall surgery under general anesthesia. The stay at the hospital facility will last several days to allow the normal post-operative course and full functional recovery. The Pope was at the same Rome hospital for a scheduled checkup months after he was hospitalized with bronchitis. He spent 3 days in the hospital in March to treat a lung infection in the same month that he marked the 10th anniversary of his pontificate. The Pope continues to maintain a busy schedule and is due to visit Portugal and Mongolia from August.
And it's time now for our weather update. Frederick Kujo joins us on the phone lines now to give us an update. It looks like we were having some rain, so let's find out if that's the situation. Good morning, Frederick Kujo.
Good morning, Maltiti.
Rain, as you predicted yesterday in Accra, was experienced. Today is the same because it looks like we're experiencing some slight showers already.
Yeah, well, for the next 24 hours, we expect mostly cloudy weather to dominate the entire country with intermittent slight rains from now through to the afternoon hours. Temperatures will generally be low across the entire country, ranging from about 22 degrees Celsius to about 34 degrees Celsius across the entire country. Mist and fog patches will also be seen for forest and then hilly areas. Over our maritime environment today, we have some rainstorms tracking over those places. So we advise that fisher folks will be cautious this morning when going about their duties. So with more of the intermittent slight rains to be seen for today.
Right. But how is the Volta Lake looking as well as the sea for our fisher folk who will be going out today?
For our Volta Lake today is quite calm. We don't have any rainstorms tracking over those places, but then cloudy conditions with intermittent light rains are needed for those places.
Right. Thank you so much, Frederick Kojo, for those updates. Michelle Fisher Folk have taken heed to it. And that's it for GTV Breakfast News. You know where you can get more news when you log on to our website, gbcghanaonline.com. A lot of stories there for you to digest and read, and lots of it to be discussed also when the headlines comes your way later. Up next, you know how we do it on Thursday. We're going into the BFS kitchen. How do you like your club sandwich? I'm just wondering why they even call it club sandwich. Is there something else? A different kind of sandwich? Well, Chef Gabi in CAF will tell you all about that. A bit later, National Service postings all about it. The Reverend and the Sheikh will be here for the headlines. I'll be back at 7.